Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We are a day away from Christmas Eve. That day marks 50 years since the deadliest plane crash ever in northwest Pennsylvania. For the survivors and the rescuers, the decades have not blurred the memories. Sean Lafferty takes a look back on that tragic night and Allegheny Airlines Flight 736.
It was a night of courage against the odds. On Christmas Eve, 1968, Allegheny Airlines Flight 736, with 47 people on board, crashed on approach to Bradford's airport.
It's hard to believe it's 50 years. They say time flies, but wow.
Susan White boarded the plane in Erie, headed to D.C. Less than an hour later, she'd see the right wing torn off by a treetop.
It sounded like heavy fabric ripping, and there was like electricity arcing through the plane, sparks through the interior of the plane, and at that point the plane started to gyrate. It kind of flipped, and the left wing went off, and then it nosedived down into the ground. The lady sitting ahead of me had turned around, and she had a look of horror on her face. And I was about to tell her, "Don't worry, we're going to be fine." And I never got one word out of my mouth. It was instant.
White is trapped and badly injured. Once freed, she and the other survivors wait as rescuers also fight the snow, the 11-degree air, and a swamp to reach them.
Someone made a statement, "I think we should take the kids first." And I'm thinking, God, I hope they think I'm a kid.
Some of the survivors of Flight 736 would actually aid in their own rescue. They set a bonfire to stay warm, fueled by luggage and Christmas presents. That fire, spotted by another Allegheny flight coming into Bradford, would actually pinpoint the wreck's position. Just 15 at the time, Dan Costello says that night haunted him for 40 years.
One of the firemen said, "We got to get somebody small to get up into the plane. Is somebody small enough?" And I was, I guess, stupid enough or whatever to volunteer, and I crawled through this hole up into the cockpit. I remember it was dark. I didn't have a flashlight, and I grabbed something, and it was a leg. And once I did that, it felt detached, and it just scared me to death.
Outside the plane for hours, rescuers take away survivors too injured to walk, using toboggans or whatever could reach the remote site.
Fortunately, some people started to arrive with snowmobiles, and this is what saved the day, because we were able then to put the wounded on the snowmobile and go across this swamp, which was always impossible to walk across.
Dr. BRUNO spent much of that bitter night at the scene. He revived a baby, and after someone suggested they come back in the morning, took one more look inside the plane. He found the last victim taken out alive.
I heard this girl crying, "I'm dying, I'm dying." And it turned out to be a 17-year-old girl that was pinned terribly, couldn't move anything. We finally got her out. Somebody gave me a hacksaw, and I hacksawed the legs off this seat. But it was a very difficult situation.
Years later, that girl, Kristen King, had a plaque made dedicated to the heroes of that night, Dr. SICHER by name.
Yeah, I think, is that the same photo?
Susan White recovered from injuries, including 18 fractures. As Christmas approaches, there are now years of happier memories, but also Flight 736 of lives lost, saved, and forever changed.
Compared to what it could be, I'm very, very fortunate. I've been blessed with 50 years that it's just mind-boggling.
Investigators concluded the pilots likely lost track of their altitude while looking through the snow for runway lights. And tragically, 13 days later, another Allegheny flight, the same type of plane, also on approach to Bradford, crashed, killing 11 people. You can see the complete interviews for this story on YourErie.com.
Sean, thank you very much. 50 years, hard to believe.